Hello. Welcome to the Millstuff channel. Today I want to share with you the restructuring of the 1st Cavalry Division. The Red Team for the Shooting Forces Headquarters supports coordination and mission command. The 1st Cavalry Division Artillery, DIVARTY, or Red Team, is the Force Field Artillery Headquarters for the 1st Cavalry Division. The DIVARTY served with the division from 1941 to 2005, including combat service in World War II, the Korean War, the Vietnam War, Operations Desert Shield and Desert Storm, and Operation Iraqi Freedom and in peacetime in Japan, Korea, and Fort Hood, Texas. As the Force Fires Headquarters, the DIVARTY provides fire support coordination and mission command for the training and readiness of field artillery units across the division. After 2 decades of small unit combat during the War on Terror, the threats from peer or near-peer adversaries such as Russia and China have necessitated the Army return to the days of large-scale combat operations. And the 1st Cavalry Division is leading the way for the Army in what those large-scale operations will look like. By 2028, when the restructure is complete, the division is expected to grow from its current 19,500 troopers to roughly 22,000. During the global war on terror, the Brigade Combat Team was our primary unit of action, said Major Tim Watts, a 1st Cavalry Division spokesman, in response to a Herald query. As a response to emerging threats, the Army is refocusing on the division as the unit of action. By 2028, the Army plans to consolidate some assets previously allocated to Brigade Combat Teams. This includes Division Artillery, the reorganization of the Division Sustainment Brigade and the creation of the Division Cavalry to serve as the eyes and ears of our units of action. The division will increase in size with the addition of the Extended Range Cannon, Artillery and the Maneuver Short Range Air Defense Battalion, the growth of the Division Artillery Staff and the addition of the Protection Brigade. According to a presentation given to the Copperas Cove City Council on June 21 by Keith Sled, the Executive Director of the Killeen-based Heart of Texas Defense Alliance, the new Protection Brigade will consist of units such as engineers, military police, air defense artillery and a chemical, biological, radiological and nuclear unit, along with support. The 1st Cavalry Division will be an armored division designed to breach enemy lines, Sled, a retired Army colonel, said. They will prepare the battlefield and allow other divisions to advance. There will be a lot more engineers, giving the ability to prepare that breach. The Armored Division had originally been called a Penetration Division, but the Army decided to change the name, Watts said. The division will gain a full engineer brigade, and each of the Armored Combat Brigades and the Protection Brigade will have an engineer battalion, he said. An additional capability that will be added to the division is a bridging company, an engineer unit designed to move the division across rivers. The division also added an air defense battalion, which was activated this year. The bridging unit is scheduled to be activated in fiscal year 2023 and a long-range cannon, field artillery battalion is scheduled for fiscal year 2024, Sled said. That will add about an additional 1,200 troops and potentially up to 1,800 family members. The division's current structure has 3 armored brigade combat teams, an air cavalry brigade, a sustainment brigade and support battalions for the division headquarters and the artillery battalions, he said. The combat brigades each have an artillery battalion and a cavalry scout squadron. Once restructured, the artillery battalions will consolidate into their own brigade, he explained. The scout squadrons will be reduced to a troop for each brigade and form a division-level squadron, which will add a surveillance company with long-range reconnaissance capabilities, while the combat brigades gain an engineer battalion and a projected robot combat vehicle company. Other than the new units already expected, called new builds because they are freshly stood up for the first time, it is not yet known where the units to fill the additional protection and engineer brigades will come from, he added. They could be new builds, or they could be pulled from other units on Fort Hood or from around the Army, but we don't know, Sled said. Until the Army figures out what it's doing, we won't know. It's still a work in progress. Some units could come from the National Guard. One of the reasons the vision to form what will become the largest division in the Army is not yet set in stone is a lack of experience in large-scale combat operations at the division level due to 20 years of brigade-level insurgency operations, he said. Another reason is fewer troops in the Army, due to difficulties in recruiting new soldiers. The Army is currently authorized 485,000 active duty soldiers for fiscal year 2022. That number will drop to 473,000 in fiscal year 2023. It will be the smallest active-duty army the United States has had since 1940, he said. While the 1st Cavalry Division will be the largest division in the Army due to its status as an armored division, it will not be the only new concept for divisional organization, Sled said. There are 4 other models that will be stood up for large-scale combat operations against near-peer adversaries. Primarily infantry-driven, heavy divisions will likely constitute the bulk of the U.S. Army's armored forces, according to a presentation of the likely makeup of division organization put together by Sled. It will consist of a maneuver element with 2 armored brigade combat teams and a striker brigade combat team. Each of the brigades will have a full armored cavalry squadron. A fires element will consist of an artillery brigade with 2 field artillery battalions equipped with M109A 7155 mm self-propelled howitzers and a field artillery battalion equipped with the truck-mounted next-generation howitzer 155 mm self-propelled howitzer. The combat support element includes an engineer battalion and a protection brigade. The division will also include a sustainment brigade and a heavy aviation brigade of attack, assault, reconnaissance and unmanned aerial vehicle aircraft. The light divisions will also be infantry, accounting for the majority of the non-airborne air assault infantry brigade combat teams. The maneuver element will consist of 3 infantry combat brigades and 1 tank battalion. The fire element will consist of an artillery brigade, combat support will have an engineer battalion and protection brigade, and the division will have a sustainment brigade and a light aviation brigade of attack, assault, reconnaissance and unmanned aerial vehicle aircraft. Similar to a light division, the Joint Forcible Entry Division Airborne will primarily focus on airborne operations. Other than airborne qualification, the main difference from the light division is the inclusion of a divisional cavalry squadron. The Joint Forcible Entry Division Air Assault is the heliborne counterpart to the airborne division. Other than the air assault qualification as opposed to airborne qualification, this division will also have an additional General Support Aviation Battalion in its Medium Aviation Brigade, which includes cargo helicopters. This gives the Air Assault Division the largest aviation brigade of any of the division types. Following Army realignment of divisions, the Army will have 2 armored divisions and 2 heavy divisions, Watts said, with 1 armored division active duty and the other National Guard. The division will look similar to what it does today. We will still have 3 brigade combat teams, a division artillery brigade, a sustainment brigade and a combat aviation brigade. The additional units are scheduled to stand up and be fully operational by 2028. As the primary unit of action, the division will control all of these units during large-scale combat operations.